You're listening to the Love Over Addiction podcast. Hey, it's Michelle. How are you? I am doing well, and I'm actually really excited to talk to you because I've been ruminating. Is that the word? I think it is. All morning about what I wanted to say to you. And there's a lot. So get relaxed. Might want to grab a cup of coffee or a cup of tea. And because I'm so excited, I'm going to jumble this up a little bit. So please forgive me. But I had a personal experience this weekend that was super painful. And sometimes I think, like, the reason why I think a lot of painful things happen to me is so that I can share them with you. Although then I think that's very narcissistic, right? Because painful things happen to everyone, so duh. But here it goes. And I'm out of breath right now because I'm so excited. Calm down, Michelle. Settle down. Okay, here it is. So I had this painful thing happen to me, and I'm going to try really hard to protect the people that were involved. But I use my life a lot in these programs and in this podcast. Because what else am I going to talk about, right? I want to make it personal and I want to make it real for you. There was a family member, let's just say that, who hurt me this weekend. So we have this kind of family group text, and I tend to be the member in the family who's a bit of a smartass. Like, my humor is very dry, and my father is from England. And I don't know if any of you guys know anyone from England, or you might be English yourself, but the English sense of humor is very, like, they tease people and they kind of get close and bond through their teasing. I think it's a cultural thing. I love it. My father did it with me. I do it back to my dad. We just kind of make fun of each other, but in like a really tongue-in-cheek, funny way. So we had this group text. You can tell where I'm going with this. And so my dad chimed in and said something really funny that was making fun of a Christmas present that he received from a family member in the group text. But it was funny, and it was like 50 years ago or 40 years ago that this happened. And then I, right or wrong, chimed in and started making fun of the other present. Like, when we were all kids, we received in quotes, gift certificates or donations to an alpaca farm. Like, we sponsored an alpaca. And there's nothing wrong with these gifts. They're beautiful gifts, right? Like, sponsoring, funding, donating, wonderful. Love it. But when you're, 7 and that's the only thing you receive and you're a kid, it's kind of bums you out, right? You're like, wait a second, why is the alpaca more important than I am? Number one. And number two, are alpacas in danger? I did not know this. Like, I get elephants. I really understand, like, cheetahs. Aren't cheetahs in danger? I don't know. But alpacas, like, and I think they were like in California. Like, so it's not even like a third world country that requires the, like, they earn the living off of the farming of this animal or whatever. It was like in California 20 years ago or whatever. And alpacas, like, I didn't make sense. But, we were all very polite kids. So we all said, thank you. None of us complained. This was the first time I have mentioned this. Okay. And I think it's funny. I think it's funny. All right. Apparently it was not, because 2 of the family members that were in this family group text left the conversation. You know how you can see that on your phone where it says, like, so-and-so has left the conversation. Yeah, that happened. And immediately I felt terrible about myself. And this is, trust me, it's going to go into addiction. I promise you, bear with me. This is where I started to feel ashamed of myself. And this is where the old role of me feeling like the black sheep of the family, it kind of reappeared. And I thought, oh my gosh, I overstepped a boundary here. Clearly I was insensitive, trying to be funny, but hurt somebody's feelings. Shame on me. Like, I just went into a shame spiral, right? Like, back to being a little girl and feeling not good enough and feeling very, very like, compared to my siblings, like I was the worst, even though I was a good girl. I just was like the worst. So it really like brought up a whole bunch of stuff, and I kind of went into a bit of a panic. And I did my knee-jerk reaction thing, my old pattern behavior, which is I turned to other family members to gauge their opinions. So I turned outside of myself and I turned to my trusted people and said, who were also actually part of this family text messaging. And I said, did you think that I was over the line? Should I call and apologize? Should I make amends? And the people that I asked, which was two, were like, no, you have nothing to apologize for. You're 43 years old. You're good. Like, it was just your sense of humor. It was funny. It was actually hilarious. And other people were chiming in too off my joke. So it was fine. So then I thought, okay, that's actually not what I wanted to do, because it didn't make me feel better. Like, turning to other people for advice to help justify what I was thinking and feeling, it didn't work. And it really never does. Like, let's say you're in an argument with your spouse and you turn to your family or your best friend or even your child and you say, this is what's going on. I don't recommend the child thing because it puts them in an unfair position. But if you're turning outside of yourself to try and get other people on your side or to validate your feelings, it's a temporary feel good. And it actually, for me, doesn't even make me feel that good, because then I feel guilty about talking about somebody behind their back, right? So it actually makes me feel even worse. So I was like, okay, Michelle, that strategy does not work. So let's not go down that path anymore. Let's do some self-talk. And this is where I look a little crazy, because I am really getting into this, where I spend my life in the laundry room, folding laundry all day, every day. It's my office, as I have so many kids. And I was like, why don't you just go back to what you do best, which is talk to yourself in the laundry room out loud when you fold clothes. But for me, it really works. And so what I do is I pretend that I'm interviewing myself. And it kind of helps me like dig out what I'm feeling underneath it all. So I'm doing my self-talk and I'm sitting here going, okay, Michelle, you're really hurting. This happened and you still haven't been able to stop thinking about it. Why is it hurting you so much? And then I started thinking about how, it made me feel insecure and shameful and like a bad person. And I've been reading a lot about codependency. And I've been reading a lot about how oftentimes, based on the patterns in our childhood, it really affects who we decide to partner with later on in life. And I know for a fact that I had a pretty rough childhood, and didn't grow up feeling great about myself. And I know that based on my childhood and my feelings of feeling insignificant and never good enough, feeling like a black sheep, I know that had a significant role in who I selected to marry. And I selected somebody who was a good person, but suffered from addiction. And unfortunately, as he got sicker and sicker, and his addiction started taking over more and more of him, he got nastier and nastier and meaner. And what happened was I subconsciously chose someone who reinforced the negative beliefs that I felt as a child. Now, that's a lot of psychology that's to think about, but I wonder if you've done the same thing. And here's the problem. So let's say you decide to leave your loved one who's addicted to drugs and alcohol, and you finally say, enough is enough. I'm out of here. Like, I cannot do this any longer. If this is what my life is going to look like 5 years from now, like, I'm not going to be able to do it I'm not going to be able to survive 5 years from now. So you say enough is enough and you leave. That's great. I support that. I also support you staying. I support you no matter what you decide to do. But let's say you leave, all right? And this is what happened to me. I left, but you're only leaving one person who reinforced those negative beliefs about yourself. So you leave and you replace that voice of addiction. That's what I call it. It's like the voice that tells you you're not good enough, the voice that called you names, the voice that got nasty with you, that guilt tripped you for calling them on their crap, for wanting more. That voice that kept you held down and under control, right? That's the voice of addiction. It's a nasty voice. It's horrible. And the longer you are with your loved one, the louder and more permanent that voice becomes. And even after you leave, that voice is still there. It takes years to get that voice completely out of your head. At least it did for me. I thought just by leaving, I was like walking away from everything. Nope, it's in your subconscious and you really have to make an effort to get rid of it and replace it with more loving thoughts, which is why the loving self-talk works so much. But here's what I'm realizing is if you grew up, being a codependent, oftentimes it's your childhood it starts from the childhood, taking care of a parent or not feeling good enough. So you work extra hard to be a good child, to prove to people that you are worthy. And then, ironically, when they love you, you feel like you've tricked them and you don't feel deserving of their love. So it's this really interesting place to be, right? But if you leave your loved one, you still have the people in your life that actually caused this codependency in your life in the first place. And so I was realizing this while I was folding laundry this morning. I was like, I left my ex-husband and I left that addiction voice, but I did not leave my relationships with my family. And then I asked myself, do I want to? Is that something that would be healthy for me to do? And for some of us, it is going to be yes. It absolutely would be a positive yes. If we experienced physical abuse or verbal abuse or just really hurtful behavior, then yeah, it is necessary. It would be healthy and in our best interest to divorce and walk away from those relationships in our family. That's perfectly acceptable. But for me, I thought, okay, I don't think I need to take it to that extreme, but here's the deal. And this is where I got really excited to tell you. I think what I should do and what I can do, and perhaps what I would encourage you to do, if you are in a similar situation, is let's control those relationships. So instead of sitting there saying, that's it, I'm not going to ever talk to them again, I'm not going to have them in my life, I'm going to have a very, difficult discussion, and I'm going to blow it up, I'm going to walk away, and I'm, never going to turn back. Or if you don't, like confrontation, and you're a little bit more of a passive person, You might just be hiding from the relationships that hurt you. You might be avoiding conversations or making excuses not to attend events or run into them or talk to them. And neither one of those is a great option. So here's what I think we should do. I think we should remain strong and polite. Strong and polite. And what does that practically look like, right? Because that's one of the things in the self-help world that drives me nuts, is that they say these like, let go and let God and blah, 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 all these expressions, but you're like, okay, tell me how to actually apply that practically in my life. That's what I'm looking for. Tell me what to do. How does that work? And that's what I try to do in all of the programs, is like, let's give you practical, tangible things to do. And when I say be strong and be polite, let's break that down. It means when you encounter them, you are on your best behavior. You are kind. You are polite. You use your manners. You say hello without a chip on your shoulder. You bring a dish if you are asked to. You say yes to the invitation, but you are also strong in the sense where you have your boundaries in place. For example, if you think about the next 12 months of your life, and if that feels too overwhelming for you, fine. Break it down to 6 months. And if that feels too overwhelming for you, great. Let's break it down for a month. Think about all of the times that you're going to encounter that person that is causing you to feel ashamed. And ask yourself, is there a way that I can either politely decline, or is there a way where if I have to go, how would I like to behave? So if you're going to an event, do I need to sit next to them? Or can I perhaps put the kids who have a great relationship with them in between me and that person? When is it okay? When do you want to talk to them? So if Christmas comes around or Hanukkah comes around or whatever you celebrate, are you okay with sending them just a really nice text saying, happy holidays, wishing you so much love and peace, and then maybe a snapshot or a selfie of you and your family? It's warm, it's polite, but it's strong. It's not sitting there saying, let's spend the holidays together and go on a 2-week vacation, right? It's holding true to yourself. That whole expression of letting go, honest to God, I think I have such a problem with that expression. I don't think when it comes to addiction or it comes to relationships that are unhealthy for us, that we should let go, that we should lose control. BS. That is when we are being called to behave as responsible adults for our lives and our own feeling, and actually exercising control is the responsible, healthy thing to do. If you let go and let go of control, you are basically saying, I'm allowing this person to dictate to me how I deserve to be treated and what I should or shouldn't do. That you're behaving like a child. You are a grown, wonderful, responsible, loving, thoughtful human being who has managed to be incredibly successful in their life. You don't need to allow anyone to control you. You only know what's best for you. So take control of the situation. And by being polite and being strong and planning ahead and going, how am I going to choose to interact with this person? When, where, and what does it look like? That is taking control of your life. So if you have left your loved one, but you still have people in your life that make you feel, that reinforce the addiction voice or reinforce what your ex-spouse or ex-partner made you feel, you still need to do some work in curating your life better, in creating boundaries around additional people. Does that make sense? it never occurred to me before to think of it that way, but that's why I was so excited, because we didn't just wake up one day and go, yes, I want to fall in love with someone who's struggling with addiction. That sounds like a fabulous idea. There were pre-existing behaviors when we met our spouses that matched perfectly with the dysfunction of addiction. And it's so great that we're willing to change those behaviors. Like, that's fabulous. That's our life's work, right? But it's also really important that we look around the room, look around our lives, go through the contacts in our phones and go, who else can we apply these boundaries to? Where else do we need to grow in our relationships? Because I don't think, at least for me, and maybe for you, that our dysfunction only applied to that relationship with an addict. I think the dysfunction is cyclical, and it's probably in many contexts that we have. So let's be proactive. Let's take control, because we know what's best. And this is how we build self-confidence. This is how we honor our true selves. This is how we get the life that we want, that we deserve. We make tough calls. We make hard decisions, and we stick with them. And we look through and we say, all right, I'm curating my life. I am selecting the people whom I love and adore, and those and are healthy for me, and those are the people that I'm going to stick with. And hey guys, guess what? Probably it's 2 or 3 or 4 people. It's that small. Now, maybe you are an anomaly and you are one of those people that have, a dozen people. Awesome. But for most of us, it's a very small amount, and that is okay, because how much time do you really have in your life to pour into your relationships? I'm guessing not a lot. And so if you really want good, authentic, healthy, loving relationships where it's balanced, you are giving as much as you are receiving. You are holding each other accountable. You are cheering each other on. You are lifting each other up. You know this is your ride or die. You know that when you are struggling or you are in pain, you can turn to this person, whether if they're a family member, whatever, a friend. It's a very small group. And there's nothing wrong with that. So take the people that are in your life that are healthy for you. And for right now, it might be 1, it might be 2, it might be 0. I know for me, when I was in love with somebody suffering from addiction, it was 0 for me. For 10 years, it was 0. I was alone, completely alone. I had no friends. I had people I knew, but I didn't go out with them. And all of my old friends I cut off because I was so scared of leaving my loved one at home alone drinking that I couldn't go out. I was so scared to invest in anyone other than my husband and my kids because I was trying to keep my family together. I was barely hanging on. I mean, good God, I remember it was like a victory just to get a shower, just to have the energy to cook dinner. I didn't have time or energy to put into friendships. And frankly, I didn't want anyone to know what was really going on. I was so embarrassed. So living a normal life for me for those years was just not an option. I was just trying to keep our family together. So for you, it might be 0 like it was for me. But here's what I want to tell you. If your number's 0, you've got me. I'm your friend. I am the one that wants to cheer you on. I am your person for this season of your life. It won't be forever. There'll come a time where you won't need me anymore. And I will wish you well, and I will tell you that you can always rely on me no matter what. You can always come back. But for this season of your life, if you're at 0, I will be that person for you with such gratitude and with such an open heart because I know what that feels like. And feeling alone and lost and not really seeing anyone that, was willing to talk about this was the entire reason why I started this community. It was the entire reason why I was like, all right, I'm going to write these programs that give specific, exact, real life, not overcomplicated, not 50 steps, tools that we can apply right where we're at right now that have nothing to do with waiting for them to get sober in order to start to feel better. Because you will be waiting a very, very long time. Statistically, and I hate saying this and sharing this, but the numbers are in single digits for long-term sobriety. I know that's so painful to hear, and maybe your loved one will be part of that percentage, but maybe they won't. And what are you going to do? Are you going to spend the rest of your life just hoping and praying that they get better? Or are you going to actually take control? Because letting go is BS. Are you going to take control of your future and of your life, of your feelings, and say, okay, right. I am going to use this opportunity. I'm going to take all of this pain, all of this rejection, all of this hurt, and I'm going to funnel it into something that is so powerful and so amazing and so helpful that it's going to change my life. And in 6 months, in a year, because it doesn't take long, guys. It's not like this arduous 5-year process. I don't believe in that. I mean, it's clear, it's simple, it's concise. Everything that I teach you is easy to implement. It's not like if you're still doing this 5 years from now, I don't know, maybe there's something greater to take a look at there. This is a 6-month ordeal. This is a year ordeal. This is not forever. Get to work. Get started today. What are you waiting for if you have not? Make yourself important. Stop letting them control your decisions. And if you are sitting here saying, Michelle, I want to join one of your programs, I can't afford it. Yes, you can. 2 things. 1, look at the bar bills. Look at the drug bills. Tell me how much money they spend on their addiction. It's going to be more than any one of these programs. I guarantee it. So if they're going to put money, your hard-earned money into their addiction, you can put your hard-earned money into getting help. And if you're still like, no, I can't, I only have $5 or $15 at the end of the month after all the bills are paid, then I'll say, great, we have a form on our website. Fill it out. You'll get the program for $5. I do not want anyone not to get help because of their financial situation. Everyone deserves help. Every one of you does. You deserve the opportunity to feel better. Whether you take it or not is up to you, but you deserve the opportunity, and I never want cost to be the reason why you can't. And if you do join one of the programs, and I promise this is not like a gross sales pitch, I swear, but if you do and you can't afford it, every person that buys a program, we give one away for free. We give one away. So you're actually helping another person in this world get better who can't afford it when you purchase one. You can feel good about that because I know this community and you guys are the most loving human beings. Okay, and then I'm going to go on one more little tangent, and I'm so sorry because this has nothing to do with addiction, so you can turn this off now if you don't want to listen to it. But I had another story I wanted to tell you really quickly. I was thinking about you this weekend because I was visiting my son in college, and he had a terrible situation happen to him. I'm not going to go into it because I don't have his permission. But what I will say is that the internet and people are nasty. They are just nasty, nasty. I don't know what is going on with this world, but I absolutely love meeting people in real life and looking them in the eyes with our masks on and recognizing that actually people in real life are wonderful human beings. And despite the world that we live in today and all of the drama that's going on, there are so many good people out there. But there are a lot of nasty people online. I don't know why people think they can treat people like this, but it's gross. And my son was a victim to this. And I thought about our community. And I thought about all of the reviews that you leave on our podcast, and I read all of them. I thought about all of the emails that you send our team, and we read all of them. I thought about how wonderful it is that we are such a small, little, safe place on this internet, in this world right now, and that you guys are so loving, so kind, so thoughtful. We are incredibly unique in this day and age. And I love us. I love that this is a safe, small place. I don't want to get bigger. You're not going to see me on any TV show or any publicity. I don't allow people to come on my podcast. I get pitched all the time for people, rehabs, or people in the addiction field to be on this podcast. No, I don't allow that because I worry about their, how can I put this nicely? I worry about their intention for I want to protect you guys. I don't care if it brings me more business. The answer is no. I don't care if it will launch my career. No, this is us. It's you and me. And we are good enough, and this is big enough as it is right now. I intentionally continue to make this small. When I don't get emails to try to be on other people's stuff. I don't pitch myself. I don't pitch my business. I love this because it's not a business, it's a community. I love you guys. I don't want to grow this any bigger because bigger isn't always necessarily better. It feels intimate and safe and loving just as it is. And so I just wanted to say thank you. Thank you for being my safe place. Thank you for not writing nasty stuff. Thank you for not attacking us. Thank you for having integrity and honesty and love and thoughtfulness. Thank you. Because truthfully, I think if our community did turn into what the internet has turned into, I don't know if I would want to do it anymore. In fact, I know I wouldn't. I would say it's time to hang up my hat because I don't want to partake in that. I don't want to be a member of that society. I want to be the last community that remains kind and loving. So that is my goal, and I am so grateful for you guys because so far we have been able to persevere and continue to make this just a loving, wonderful place. So that's what I wanted to say when I was visiting my son. I was thinking of you guys and thinking, gosh, how great we are. So I love you all. I really do. I am your person and your greatest cheerleader right now. And I'm ready to launch you off into the life that you deserve. So hopefully you found something helpful in this. I look forward to seeing you inside the Facebook group, and I will talk to you later.
This podcast is created for your support, encouragement, and entertainment with Michelle's personal thoughts and beliefs. From one woman to another, bonded together by the fact we love someone suffering from addiction. This is not intended as a substitute for therapy or advice from a professional.